I've had a lot of conversations lately, both with members of the Coven and with folk over on Blue Sky. You can follow CreationsPaths over there if you want to talk to me over there about this change that we're all feeling in the air. There's something that's happening, something that we can feel almost like an anticipation, like an energy wanting to break forth, but we're all struggling to put words to it. So today, as we celebrate the new moon, I want to invite us all into the path of the Via Negativa, into the path of unknowing, where we are going to investigate these feelings, talk about our perceptions, and lay aside any expectation of certainty. Because when you are seeking to figure out the deeper things, you always have to walk into the cloud of unknowing. So let's talk about all that. Walk together down Creation's paths. Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? My name is Charlie. I am a Christopagan druid and priest of Brigid.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian. I'm a Christopagan druid and sous chef to the dog dough.
And today we are going to be leading a collective meditation, almost thought process. We're going to be sharing our own thoughts, and we invite you to play along and consider yours. Nothing we are going to be saying here is meant to be seen as the right answer, the final answer, or maybe not even an answer at all. It's more probing the question and showing the path through these kinds of delicate matters, because this is a really delicate matter. So many of us have felt this weird energy in the air, this weird change, this thing, and we've tried to give word to it. And yeah, I want to just kind of poke at that for a little bit with you all as we celebrate the Via Negativa in the new moon. But before we get into all that, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, follow, whatever the terminology happens to be on whatever app you're listening to us on. We do 5 original Christopagan and Druid episodes Monday through Friday. And you don't want to miss a thing, because we've got a lot of interesting things planned, including a request from one of you. So yeah, let's get into it, shall we?
I am so excited for today's episode, mainly because we're playing in some of my favorite spaces in the Via Negativa. This place of unknowing, like a liminal space, is the journey between the question and the answer. It is neither the question nor the answer, though. I like to think of it like Schrodinger's box. I would like to think everyone's familiar with Schrodinger's box, where you count the box, you don't know if it's alive or dead until you open the box, and then you have your answer. Instead of thinking outside the box, I want us all to be the box. We are this space of non-determined. We're neither the answer or the question. And I have so much fun in these spaces. It also comes with that warning, like today, we're not putting forward answers. We're putting forward possibilities. We're putting forward questions. This is all about gathering data points, but nothing that anyone should say is conclusive, because it would need more data points to be added to it. It would need more information.
Yeah, if you've listened to this podcast for any period of time, you know that I like to blame pop culture for a lot of our misconceptions about how a lot of mystical, magical things work. This is getting into the realm of prophecy, into the realm of oracles, into the realm of energy reading, all of that playing around with itself and kind of dancing together to make something and try to answer certain questions. And unfortunately, the way our media and certain charlatans and grifters portray this is that you get answers. That, aha, I have found it. I know of the truth, capital T. I understand. I know. I see. And that kind of ego is dangerous in this work. And that's why I really like Brian's Be the Box.
Be the box.
Just be the box. Don't think outside. Don't think inside. Just be the box.
To go off that analogy, it's so upsetting when a charlatan walks up and goes, "Here's a Schrodinger's box with a dead cat inside. Enjoy." And it's like, dude, you just killed the cat. Like, why'd you kill the cat? Might be alive. For all I know, there's a banana sitting inside, and it's not a cat at all, and it's neither alive nor dead. Why ruin it?
A lot of people are really uncomfortable living in this space This is why we've
Yeah.
done episodes on liminal spaces before, because this is the kind of most liminal space we get into. It's
Mhm.
really at the heart of the Via Negativa, this letting go of ego, this letting go of certainty, and just allowing what will be to be. And that sounds passive to a lot of people, but it really isn't. As we've talked about a lot in this podcast, we are trying to align ourselves with the flow of nature. We're trying to align ourselves with the flow because if you don't understand where the currents are going, you cannot steer them. When you claim to know exactly what the flow is, when you claim to know exactly where the currents are going and just take your eyes off of them and stop paying attention to them to take action, you won't see if they change. You will be blind to any sudden moves or shifts or changes, and you're actually hampering the work you're trying to do. That's why it's very important to let go of that ego, let go of that certainty, and try to stay in this place of, let's just say, probable uncertainty. Like the more evidence you're able to accrue, the more certain you can feel about things, but you're never going to get to 100%. You're never going to have that sense of certainty. So the thing that we're talking about here is, again, something hard to put into words. I have heard it described as an anger, that there's just this anger that's in the clouds. It's riding on the wind, that there's this rage that's out there. Some people have described it as something just screaming in the distance. My experience of it is it's like being, if you've ever walked through the woods where some friends of yours were holding a bonfire and you're far enough into the trees that you can't see the fire anymore, but you can hear the roar of the flames and the crackling of the flames. That's kind of the experience that I have of this, that there's something burning, that there's something out there and it has a desire, it has an intent, and it has a goal. And I can feel all of that kind of in the air, that I can feel this desire. The problem is I am having a hard time discerning whether the desires I feel that are present in it are me projecting my desires, goals, and ambitions onto it, or if it's the desires that are there, or, and we got to this point in a conversation I was having with somebody the other day on Blue Sky, whether or not it is just an available pool of energy that is waiting for intention to draw it down. That's an interesting idea as well. And I don't have enough evidence yet to say which it is. But I think a lot of us have been feeling this. I've been talking to a lot of people about this specific thing lately, including some people that I don't expect to have conversations like this with at all.
So I'm wondering if it's twofold. One of them is it's like the story of the people looking at the elephant. If what it is in general is we're all looking at elephant, but one person's describing a trunk, one person's describing a leg, one person's describing the side, one person's describing a foot. And I think the overall energy is the elephant. But I think one of the big parts of it is tied into the, at least the turmoil here in the States. If you were to think of the country in terms of an egregore, a group spirit, all the citizens of these United States have all joined into and contribute into this as a collective. And every 4 years, we agree to a peaceful transfer of power and authority, and we hand the reins of that egregore over to a new, or sometimes the same group of people that get to take and drive it. The thing is, though, is the egregore is a collection of everybody. So you now have the group that the authority is handed to taking the reins, trying to drive the egregore in a direction where I think a lot of the members do not agree with. So I think that tension is creating a lot of angsty energy over the whole country.
I think that's
Something that
part
I
of
think
it.
a lot of people are feeling.
I think that's part of it, but I don't think it's the whole thing. So if you don't know how to actually probe these kinds of sensations, these kinds of senses, this is what meditation and journeying are good for. If you have not learned how to do journeying and have not been brought into journeying by somebody who can help you with the safeguards and everything that you really need to have in place before you do journeying, please just meditate on these issues. Just kind of sit with the energy and probe it and see what comes into mind. But what I have found in my own journeying is, yes, there is that kind of a current, a thread of this anxiety. But what I hear in the background is this other thing that I'm hearing a lot of people talking about, with the gods are wanting to do something. I
Hmm.
keep seeing that phrase popping up over and over again in different people's mouths. I keep hearing it from people as well. For me, that feels very on point with what I experienced in Journey. I was not able to get to a place where I could have a conversation with Brigid, who I was trying to talk to about this, but I could hear in the distance a hammering at the forge. Brigid is working on something. There was a hammering on the forge. I could not find Angus, but I could hear the birds singing. I could not find Care, but I could see the swan in the sky. I could not find Lou or Oma, but I could hear them in the distance barking orders, if you will. All of the spirits that I sought to try to get clarity on this were too busy, and I wasn't able to actually reach them. I could hear them. I could hear their voices. I could hear them doing things. I could not make out the words. I could not tell you even what language they were speaking. I couldn't tell you that either. It was just a voice. We hear and recognize a voice at a distance, but you can't make out what the words are. And I think that part of the energy that's going on right now is what is both concerning people, causing people to become more anxious, and bringing about a hope in some people and a fear in others, because it really does feel like the spirits are doing something. What do you open it up?
Yeah. Yeah, it really does.
And I just don't know what that is. And I'm a little troubled, to be honest, that I was not able to come back with an answer, because usually one of my guides, usually, even when I can't get in touch with one of the spirits that I'm trying to get in touch with, one of my other guides would be there. And I was not able to get in touch with them either. I did not feel that they had abandoned me. I did not feel that they had left, but even they were too busy to show up. And that is an experience that I have not had before. And again, I don't know if this is because of the bustle in my own life. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if this is because of the amount of work that I'm doing, that I'm constantly in the state of busyness myself, that is being projected into my meditations, because you always have to take that into effect. When your meditations are giving you an answer that align almost too perfectly with your own life, you need to have a bit of suspicion that you're just projecting into the meditation the events that are going on in your own life, in your own head, and not actually receiving wisdom back. So that's part of this unknowing process, right? This could just be me projecting that into the meditation. The only reason I feel like it isn't is because I'm hearing this from so many other people that it doesn't appear to be a me problem. It seems to be a more communal problem. And it's interesting to see this kind of this very present energy. Like, I feel very secure in saying that there is this very present energy involved in all of this, because of all of the other people that have reported feeling it as well, and independently reported hearing it and feeling it. So I have a high degree of certainty that something is happening. I do wonder if this is what I talked about from my meditations at the solstice, and the messages that I received at Samhain, that there is a war coming, that there is a fire coming that is going to burn things down, and things will have to rise again like a phoenix, but it must first be burned to ashes, which I still don't know exactly what that means. I'm not sure, but I've talked about that before on previous episodes, but I don't know if it's that same energy, or if it is a build on top of that, or if it is a different energy in and of itself. And that's the problem with trying to put certainty over things. It'd be really easy to say, oh, I know what this is. My ancestors told me at Samhain, but this doesn't,
Yeah.
I don't know that this is what they were talking about.
That's a lot of this part of the process. This is where we're playing around with different tools, different spiritual tools, to gather more data points and to see what correlates. And remembering correlation isn't causation, but it's just trying to gather more so that one might have a better reference for things to come, because a lot of it is about that unknowing. It's a journey space. I thought you'd find this amusing. I did pull 3 cards from the deck sitting here because I thought it'd be funny. First of all, the first one is Brigid. Thought you would
Now,
find that
Brigid is
amusing.
in that deck twice. He's using our Divine Feminine deck, which I absolutely love. Brigid's actually in that deck twice. Both the goddess Brigid and Saint Brigid are both in that deck. And you pulled the goddess.
This is the goddess of the eternal flame.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was hilarious. And Sarasvati, the goddess of self-knowledge, which I also thought was fun. I felt like I should pull 3 cards in this case, which was really neat. And what was also fascinating was Parvati, the goddess of self-knowledge, which is funny because that's actually the actual thing that we're engaging in here, is a quest for self-knowledge.
Yeah.
And because that was the thing, was like, who's helping us along the journey? It's Brigid, goddess of the eternal flame. What we're looking for is this self-knowledge. And what was fascinating was what's to come. I pulled Parvati,
Parvati.
except
She
was upside down. Parvati, but in the inverse, which was fascinating.
If that's something that means something to you, I insist on you running with that. I don't usually do an inverse obverse with those cards.
Granted, a lot of this is just, like I said, we're playing in the land of personal gnosis, and I also haven't played much with this deck, so I should put that caveat as far as the connection there. But the vibe I got from this is the goddess of devotion, and this is actually, I feel like it's telling me that this is talking about the changes to come, shifts in, changes in from the present course of devotion to new courses of devotion, which could simply be, if we were to look at a lot of like current events and what's going on and stuff, this could actually be where a lot of people were set in their ways and making a lot of assumptions and are now in the process of learning that their assumptions were completely wrong. The angers and hatreds that were driving them to make their choices, they're now regretting and re-question and going through a time questioning, going to go through a period of questioning why they did what they did and why they, let's just be blunt, why they elected who they elected and put in charge who they put in charge. And a lot could be.
Now, what I find very interesting is that 2 of the 3 cards you pulled are traditionally together, as far as they're the Tree Devi in Hinduism. And so that would be Parvati and Parvati, and usually joined with Lakshmi. And I find it interesting that Lakshmi is missing in this 3 card pull, but Brigid is there, because Lakshmi is the goddess of fortune and prosperity, of royal power, of abundance. She is missing.
I got very much a mess around and find out vibe, where there's a lot of messing around that had happened, and people are now finding out that what they thought were wrong, and they're having a lot of shakeup in their lives because of it.
As I have said in the past, I am not a Hindu, but I do have some connection to certain Hindu goddesses, and Parvati is an incarnation of Durga. And
Yeah.
I do have a relationship with Durga. If I thought we had the time, I would tell the story of Parvati. Look it up there. You can find some good versions of it.
Let us know in the notes, or leave a comment, and maybe we'll do a whole episode on
I
it.
doubt it. I am very,
Yeah.
as somebody who doesn't practice Hinduism, I feel odd putting my
Yeah.
voice too far in there. Like I said, these are energies that I have had contact with and have, through no intent of my own, established relationships with over the years.
Yeah.
Durga and all of Durga's incarnations, including Parvati and Kali, are 2 of the ones that have been, those 3 goddesses have been very prominent in my life for a long time. I find it very interesting just thinking about these 3 cards that you pulled and their relationship to each other, because Parvati is harmony and power. Sarasvati is knowledge and learning and poetry and music. And so the connections between Sarasvati and Brigid are just profound, right?
Yes.
They're very similar energies, very different, but similar energies that kind of vibe together. I also find it interesting that the Brigid that I have been encountering, the form of Brigid that I've been encountering in my journeys and in my meditations, is more Brigid the craftsman, Brigid of justice, and not so much the poetic Brigid, the Brigid of the bards, and takes that position in there in this reading. My mind is rolling with all of the possibilities that could come from this, because this kind of aligns with a lot of the feelings that I've been having, that there is a lot of inspiration in the clouds for artists and those who can draw on that awen, that imas, that inspiration, whether it's into their magic or into their craft or into their arts, to draw on to actually make the change and the justice that is wanting to come forward here. And I have to say that, like, any Hindus listening to the sound of my voice, please correct me if you feel like I'm really off on this. But my sensation, my thoughts about Parvati have always been, there's no Parvati without Kali, and there's no Kali without Parvati. That they are incarnations of Durga that are so inextricably linked. And I would rather have on the spectrum the healing, restorative coming of Parvati than the destructive dance that Kali brings.
Yeah. And that's why I thought it was really interesting. And the vibe I kind of got from this whole thing is this is that more subtle rise in the potential for social justice, the rise in the potential for subtle changing of minds and shifting individuals' devotions from previous conceived notions. It's more that subtle, gentler change, and not the world destroying, earth shaking, knocking houses down.
Your lips to God's ears.
Yeah. Yeah. The in your face, I'm gonna smack you around till you're shaped up, Kali.
If we're going through all of the paths that I've practiced in my life, like, I just, inside me, I'm just inshallah, inshallah. God willing, God willing, God willing. Just
Yeah. Yeah. Because that would be the gentler way of having one's life change rather than the more forceful.
that is always the hope. And
Yeah.
I think we're still in the window where that kind of change could happen.
And
And
that,
hopefully that's where we're going. But again, don't take any of this as we solved it. Some people are going to get to this point and think, aha, throughout the course of this podcast, Charlie and Brian solved it. They figured it out. No, I have more questions now than I did when we got started. And that is a good thing.
that's a good thing.
I have,
That's part of the point of playing in this
yeah,
space.
I have more
Remember, you do not want to fix what is in this box you've been given. This is not the time or place to fix it.
Yeah.
Let it be the potential.
But I also have
Because,
more avenues to go down.
yeah, yeah. Like another quick one just to play with is also along with this new moon, we're also having a partial solar eclipse. It'll be visible in parts of northeastern United States, eastern Canada, Greenland, Europe, northwest Africa, and northwestern Russia. And so if you're in those areas, you get to enjoy a partial eclipse, which some of the symbolism I always find fun with that is you have this attempt to, I guess, obstruct the light, and the light, it misses its mark and it's not able to completely block out the light, and the light comes back through, is one interpretation of a eclipse and a partial eclipse. It's a fun one to look at and add into this, to play around with in this space where there are these attempts in our modern time period, and not just in the US, but across many places across the globe, where powers that want to oppress, powers that want these authoritarian imperial powers that want to rise up, keep missing the mark. And one could hope that this energy is actually that attempt rising and the missing of the mark, and hopefully a backswing that of the general public moving towards a better way of living in right relationship with themselves and their spaces that they occupy. We can hope. And is a fun, optimistic read of some of all of what's going on.
My brain is in more of the fire than it was when we first got started. And that is the point of walking into these places. I hope that you have enjoyed this kind of walk through the Cloud of Unknowing with us. You have asked us in the past to do more episodes like this, and we're trying to figure out a format and how to do it. Let us know with what you think about everything that we said and how we put this episode together, and how we could maybe do this better for you all in the future. If you're listening to us on YouTube, Spotify, or CreationsPaths.com, you can You can leave a comment right there. If you're listening to us anywhere else, even if they say you can leave a comment, they do not notify us. So leave a comment there anyway, because engagement is magic. Then head over to CreationsPaths.com, click on chat, or you can find the episode itself and leave a chat there, leave a comment there, and we will be able to see it, and we will be able to get back to you and respond and everything. Yeah, I'm really curious about how all of this is going to come together. And then head over to CreationsPaths.com, click on chat, and leave a comment there. While you're there, if you happen to have a few dollars that you can pass our way, we offer monthly and annual memberships. You can also support us on Patreon and Ko-fi. I am CE Dorset on both, and you can support us through the Cash App, hashtag CreationsPaths. Thank you to everybody who does that. That really helps us out a lot. It helps us to keep the lights on, keep a roof over our head, and food on the table. So thank you so very, very much. If we've ever done or said anything that's helped you out, please share that with somebody else, because that helps us out more than you know. I have rarely felt this much energy flowing. Like, it really feels like something, I'll say, special is about to happen. Oh, Brigid, Parvati, and Parvati, three goddesses who have watched over us so much throughout our lives and who bring balance and harmony, as well as all of the other aspects that you bring to this world. Guide us to the wisdom and the understanding that we need to navigate the strange waters that we find ourselves in as we continue to flow down the river on the path of unknowing. Amen.
Amen.